All right, so today we are going to talk about put spreads, which is a complicated trading tool or instrument that allows you to, take on some risk, make some money, but then protect yourself. And I'll go through how all that works. All right, and specifically, here's the order history so you can see what it looks like in your history. But what you're going to see here is get the red. Okay, this is the sold part of the put, and then this was the purchased part of the put. And the reason why I did this way was because of the margin requirement. So when you sell a put, your brokerage firm will actually set aside a certain amount of money to ensure that if the stock price drops below the put strike, then you become assigned on those puts, meaning that you have to purchase those shares. And they want to make sure that you have the capital in order to cover that assignment. Now, if you sell a put at the same time you buy one, that gives you some downside protection. So when I say downside protection, if you think about it, this is the 160. Okay, this is 162.5. Okay, the stock was trading up here. If the stock drops below your strike that you sold, you're going to need to buy, like if you only do one contract, it's 100 shares times 162.5. That's what you're on the hook to buy it for, regardless of whatever the current stock price is. So let's say if it keeps going down to 140, well, guess what? You're still buying it at 162.50, and you're going to take that instant loss. However, if you purchase a contract or a put contract, say whatever dollar amount below, whatever you want your spread to be, I did mine only the next one down, and it was what, 506, and the one I sold was 1243. So that gave me a difference of $737. So that's the profit I can walk away from doing this transaction. And something to keep in mind is if you only sell one leg, like if you only sell a put, or you only buy one call instead of doing a call spread, credit spread, then you got to be careful, because if the market moves in any directions a large amount, your losses are going to be huge, right? But if you do spreads, it at least gives you protection. Now, your profits are capped, right? Your profits will be capped, but your losses are substantially less. So if you look at getting into this transaction or this position, and you sold for 1243, and then you purchased one to protect yourself at 506, so your profit's going to be 737. Well, let's say if this goes south and it goes in between the two strikes, or actually goes below it, right? If it goes below it, then you're only on the hook for I think it's $2,500 difference between the two strikes, right? So then each contract you're looking at $2,500 a loss, right, for each contract that you sold, because what's going to happen is the person who you bought a contract from is going to have to purchase the shares from you, and in turn, you're purchasing the shares from that person. Keep in mind, though, the longer you do this, the more you start making, the larger the spread you can make between your two strike prices. Or if you want, you can just keep doing the same thing over and over again, but you want to make sure that you keep the same methodology or your strategy that you're using. So don't start doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Like, don't start taking more risk than you need to. Just keep doing the same strategy, because over time, this will start adding up a lot for you. So I did have a pretty good nail biter right before market close. And to show you what I'm talking about, it was I sold a put on Marriott and then purchased one. So there's the one that I purchased, and there's the one that I sold. So if you notice, 162.5. The stock was only 3 cents away from it being exercised, so kind of skated on that one, dodged a bullet. But as long as it stayed above the strike price for the one that I sold, both of these contracts expire worthless. Now, when I say expire worthless, that means whoever I bought my contract from gets to keep their money that I paid them, and the person I sold a put contract to, I get to keep all that money that they gave me, which is great. Okay, this is another example of a credit spread that's in the form of a put. So I have a put that I sold and a put that I bought. And again, the reason why you're going to want to do these things is because if you buy a put and sell a put at the same time, it gives you that downside protection, which means that your brokerage firm is not going to pull that much money out of your account to get in this position. So if you only sold a put and that's it, just this, the margin requirement would be pretty steep. And I can show you an example of that. So if we're looking right now, that's how many contracts were sold right here. Okay, sold and bought. That's the price. So I sold them for $1.40. So 140, or that $1.40 times 100, so 140. And then I purchased, so I sold it for 140, and then I purchased a contract at $5 under the strike of the one that I sold for what looks like 15 cents, but times it by 100. That gives you $15. And yeah, so there you go. There's a full price. And then you multiply that by how many contracts, which in my case there was 10, which gives you the margin requirement of $5,000, which is a lot less. And here I'll show you by actually going here and making a hypothetical change to the calculator that says, hey, what happens when I take away the sold leg of the spread? All right, so I put in that calculation of that change, and if you notice, it now changed the term from a credit spread to a naked put. And if you want to see how expensive a naked put is to do, right, we have the same price. So I sold the 10 contracts, received $1,400. Okay, now if you keep going over, you can see now the margin requirement that the brokerage firm is going to set aside jumped to over $17,000. So again, you can see why a credit spread is helpful in you, one, maintaining capital and being able to get into positions without having to have a lot of money in margin, but it also protects you. So yeah, if this does drop, I'm not having to worry about a massive loss of over $17,000. It's going to be more of a smaller amount, or at least closer to what I received or the premium that was paid by the person buying the contract. So you see how you can see how it protects you on one hand, but also allows you to get into larger scale trades. So yeah, hopefully this helps. Again, this was a credit spread on puts. And definitely take a chance or take an opportunity to go look at Investopedia on puts. And yeah, hopefully you can do some great things. But yeah, remember, always try to use your margin calculator when you're getting into these trades, so that way you can understand if you have enough to even get in the trade, and be mindful of where the stock is at, because there could be a possibility for assignment if it drops below the strike price. I know once you start diving into this, you'll notice that a lot of these option chains show puts, and you can see people buying and selling puts that are like way out of the money just because they want to have somewhat of a more secure bet that, yes, the stock's not going to move that far down if it does drop. But It's trial and error, so definitely play with it. Try out a couple contracts at a time. I'd say when you get started, try one or two, and remember you can always scale it up, and you don't have to do a whole bunch of different positions and different stocks or different contracts for those stocks. You can just pick one and focus on that one. That way you don't lose your sanity. But yeah, that's my advice for today. So good luck.